Hi, my name is Lauren Tarbell. I am a student at Oskaloosa High School. I'm a senior this year. So I get the privilege to do World of Work, and this trimester I'm pairing with Oskaloosa News to learn some stuff about photography and journalism. So I'm going to be walking around downtown asking people a series of questions about the benefits and downfalls of Oskaloosa and overall just their opinions. So what are your first impressions on Oskaloosa?
It's a pretty nice town. I've lived here off and on throughout my whole life. I'm 31 now, and I've lived here, like I said, pretty much off and on. School was great when I went here. I went through all
You went to
the
high school here?
yeah. I went to elementary, junior high back then, and then the high school. I had no complaints.
So what would you like to see change about Oskaloosa? Like, would you like restaurants, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it would be better to have a little bit more different variety for food instead of more pizza places
Yeah.
and car washes and stuff like that. I think it would be good for something that we just don't have that's different, another buffet or something.
What do you think about like retail, like clothing, like more business stuff? Do you think that would benefit?
Yeah, most definitely. Like the mall, growing up throughout the years, there's been a lot of businesses coming and going in the mall and just around town in general. And I think it would definitely benefit the town if we had something a little bit more
Attracting.
attracting, yeah, than what we have now.
So last question, do you think more people would travel here if we had more variety and option?
I think so. If we had something that's kind of more, I would quote, like mainstream, I definitely think more people would like to come visit.
Come visit you. All right, thank you for your
No
time.
problem. Thank you.
All right, so what are your first impressions on Oskaloosa when you walk in and look around?
Well, I've lived here for over 40 years, so I think it's a lovely town, and I think we've done a wonderful job here of preserving our square and the bandstand, the buildings around the square. It just looks like a really lovely little Iowa town.
So, if you first look at Oskaloosa compared to like Pella or something like that, what do you think that we could improve on?
That question would take some thought. I don't know. I think we have a lot of things going for us here. I am actually a snowbird. I live most of my time in Florida now, and I enjoy coming back in the summertime. I love the Thursday evenings in the alley and the Thursday evening band concerts. That's something I really enjoy coming home to. So I think we're doing well.
All right. What would you like? Well, so a lot of people, not a lot, but some people that I've already talked to have said that they like to see like more clothing stores or more restaurants. What's your opinion on that?
It would be nice to have at least one more restaurant. We lost the Pepper Tree, which was sad for a lot of us because many of us enjoyed that restaurant. I'd like to see that expand, but the community also has to be able to support another restaurant as far as, you know, eating there and as far as having adequate employees and all of those things. So right now is a bit of an economic struggle for that kind of business.
And last question, do you think that more people would travel here if there were more options?
That's a good question. We're a rural community here. We're in southern Iowa. We're surrounded by a lot of cornfields. I'm not sure about tourism or travel. It's kind of outside my expertise. I come from Winterset, Iowa, and they had the great fortune to have a movie made there. And so the Bridges of Madison County has carried them well for a lot of years. I guess we haven't had that fortune, but
Yeah.
something like that always helps.
All right. Well, thank you very much for making time for me.
Alrighty.
All right, so what are your first impressions on Oskaloosa?
My first impression of Oskaloosa when I was probably about 10 years old, which was a long time ago. And at that time, it was a place that we drove through to get to Des Moines. And there were a lot of gas stations. The people who used to live here will tell you that. The whole A Avenue was lined with gas stations. Well, that was my first impression, I guess.
All right, so today compared to then, what do you think has improved, like made us a stronger?
When I was getting ready to retire, I wondered if I still wanted to live here because I worked here for so long. So I made up kind of a bucket list of small towns like Oskaloosa that were similar to see if I wanted to move to one of them. Every time I got to one, I crossed it off the list because I think we have about the most attractive small town around.
Okay. So what do you like business-wise about here? Do you like restaurants, shopping?
I like this place. This Smoky Row is a definite draw, and we have done a good job, I think, downtown of diversifying. I do miss the major retail outlets, clothing stores, department stores, that sort of thing, but it's just a different place now than it used to be.
Yeah. And last question, do you think that more people would come here if there were more attractions?
Possibly. Like I say, it's just a whole different world now. People are order so much over the internet that it's very difficult to maintain a store. So in terms of attracting people to move here, I think you need to be more creative and look at different things other than just the retail and the business aspect.
Okay, that's a good input on it.
Okay.
All right, so one of my questions is, what are your first impressions on Oskaloosa?
I like it. It's a nice small little town. I was just sitting here looking at the town square and going, it's kind of one of your classic quintessential small towns.
So when you first look at it, what do you think that you could improve about this town if it were up to you?
Wow. I don't know if I know it well enough to improve anything. I kind of like that. I mean, I see a lot of things that I like, a lot of mom and pop places and not a lot of chain places. So I kind of like the charm of the small town, so I don't know if I would change a whole lot about that.
All right, so another thing is I've talked to some other people and they say that they like to see restaurants, and there's some coming in actually. So what's your opinion on if we had more restaurants or clothing stores, stuff like that?
I'm not sure, actually. Like I said, I kind of like the small town feel of this here. I don't know if it would be replacing some of these, or a lot of places have downtown areas and then the newer areas. I'm not really sure. I think it would definitely be a change.
All right, and my last question. Do you think more people would travel here if there was more options, variety of things to do, places to go?
I think maybe from our surrounding communities may draw a little more commerce to the area. I think so, yeah.
All right, thank you for your time.
No problem, thank you.
All right, so my first question is, what are your impressions on Oskaloosa?
So my impressions of Oskaloosa, I've actually lived here for some time. I grew up here. So I think what I have seen in my first impressions are that there has been growth, that there is change. The fact that we do see some construction and things happening on the square, that there is progress. There is a group of people, there's a community that wants to make this place look and feel and be better.
All right, so how do you think that Oskaloosa could improve?
So I'm in the food industry. It would be great if we would have less fast food restaurants and more of the mom and pop type places that people would frequent. That would be awesome. And that's a completely personal interest there on that one.
All right, what would you like to see in Oskaloosa's future? It's kind of the same thing, but a little different.
Right, of course. So it's been super awesome this week because we've got the Mammothly Creative and the William Penn. They've been bringing some, like the World Fest is this week. So the Finnish group is here and the Puppet Guy. And we've had a really great opportunity and available to anybody who wants to participate to speak with these people and hear their music and hear their story. And I would love there to be more of that and people to know that these people are accessible and you can see this and be a part of this, because that's what makes us all better and grow, and that would be awesome.
Right, so just knowing that there's more out there than what
Yes.
a small town that we
Yes.
are, you
Like,
know.
it's one thing to choose that you're going to live here and you pick it and you're there, but to know that you can also learn about other cultures without even having to really travel or go anywhere if you don't want to. Amazing thing if we could have more of that.
All right, my last question is, do you think that more people would travel here if they knew more about it, or there was more options here for like shopping?
I do think so. I mean, I think the Lighted Christmas Parade is always a great example and indicator of that. People are willing to travel here. People want to go places, and especially after COVID, they are willing to do that. So yes, I think if we had more of that, different, that we're hitting different interests, I think yes, people would travel if they know, of course. So.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Yes.